Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I've got two topics to discuss in this latest Moon Lambo Hot Jam. I'll be starting with this one from Protocol titled, Ripple CEO Won't Apologize for Taking on the SEC. And this is interesting. Protocol actually had an interview with Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, and they published it just several days ago, and really it seems to me that pretty much nobody's paid attention to it, but I found some stuff in here to be rather fascinating. Brad talks about a number of things from SEC regulation to potential IPO, which, as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty much inevitable unless Ripple actually leaves the United States, which I don't think is likely. And also the XRP slash crypto bear market, the concept of that. Where does Brad think we are with XRP and crypto bear market? Also, there is this story covered by You Today titled, Ripple CTO names his preferred way to pay on the internet. And so what's covered within this article, it's actually really fascinating. David Schwartz, Ripple CTO, co-creator of the XRP ledger, he actually received a lifetime ban from PayPal, I think it was over a decade ago. The specifics are in here, I'll go through it. But there's been a development in the story, let's say, and he reveals his motivation for doing what he's been doing with Ripple and also XRP. So anyway, plenty to talk about, but before going further, I do want to be clear that I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I'm not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So into this interview from Protocol, the piece begins as follows. Ripple just bought back a huge chunk of its shares this week, which CEO Brad Garlinghouse touted as a sign of the crypto company's momentum. But he also used the opportunity to hit back at the agency that the crypto powerhouse considers its nemesis, the SEC. And here's a quote. Despite these crazy headwinds with the SEC, and frankly, losing some customers because of the SEC lawsuit, we grew very quickly, and we feel like we're starting 2022 in a great position of strength. And that's a direct quote from Brad Garlinghouse. And it is good to see XRP continuing to be adopted. So it's not just broadly RippleNet that has seen great success over the last calendar year, but specifically on-demand liquidity, which utilizes XRP as a bridge currency. That accounts for 25% of transactions on RippleNet, despite the fact that Ripple lost their largest customer, which was MoneyGram, and despite the fact that the most popular on-demand liquidity corridors in existence prior to all of this were touching the United States. It was from the United States to Mexico, and also the United States to the Philippines in particular. Just completely decimated. Those corridors no longer exist. There are no flows, which is rather unfortunate. Now, I think that's all going to come back once there's a final adjudication or settlement with the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. But despite all of that, you're continuing to see real-world adoption. And I've long said that for any cryptocurrency that's going to have long-term viability, all it has to do is solve one problem for enough people that it's worth that speculators will see, oh wow, this is solving real problems for real people. Money flow in then. That's been my investment thesis, effectively that utility matters and will win the day. Now, XRP has multiple use cases, but here's one that's getting broadly adopted, and we're still, in terms of, if you look at where we're at in terms of the adoption on a technology bell curve, certainly towards the earlier portion of this, but at some point, there will be an exponential increase. Arguably, we're already seeing an exponential increase, but the most impressive exponential portion of that increase, I think it's yet to be seen. Anyway, piece continues. The company is embroiled in a lawsuit filed in 2020 in which the agency accused Ripple of raising $1.3 billion in unregistered digital asset securities by issuing XRP tokens. The SEC's key claim is that XRP is not a currency, but a security, and therefore subject to strict securities laws. Ripple has argued that XRP is a virtual currency, not an investment contract. In an interview with Protocol, Garlinghouse discussed why the share buyback makes sense, the growing worries about another crypto winter, and why the SEC and crypto critics are wrong to portray the industry as the Wild West. And so here's the question from Protocol, the first question. Why buy back shares? And here's what Brad Garlinghouse had to say. And I've talked about this topic because it was big news just a few days or so ago. But indeed, Ripple did buy back outstanding shares. And I talked about how there are a number of investors back in 2019, so about a year before the lawsuit occurred, including Tetragon, and they just vested. It was in Series C funding round, which meant that they were prepping for an IPO in all likelihood. And just like I think it was hundreds of millions of dollars, or how much was it? Whatever. I can't remember the exact amount. The point is, it was a massive funding round, and so they sold shares of their company, and they've now bought them back. So anyway, why buy back shares? Here's what Brad said. A lot has changed in the crypto world in the last 2 years since we did this, the funding round. Overall asset values have grown from about 200 billion to about 8 times that today. So he's talking about just because let me pause. He's talking about the crypto asset class market cap. Anyway, Brad continues. Ripple's business has materially grown. So despite these crazy headwinds with the SEC and frankly losing some customers because of the SEC lawsuit, we grew very quickly and we feel like we're starting 2022 in a great position of strength. We have, and this is amazing, I reported on this, we have over $1 billion of cash on the balance sheet today. We're super excited about where things are going. We had this opportunity to repurchase shares at a $15 billion valuation. We obviously thought that it was a good use of capital for all shareholders. So think about this. Ripple, the company, was worth about $10 billion a couple years ago, now worth $15 billion. XRP, mind you, is at the heart of everything that Ripple is doing. Where the hell do you think this is going to go, considering the adoption that's taking place here? And I still, by the way, we'll get into the IPO stuff a little bit later in this piece, but I still firmly believe it's a coming. And then Protocol asks the following. You're still in a battle with the SEC. How do you see the regulatory challenges unfolding this year? And Brad Garlinghouse said the following. If you step back at 100,000 feet, the regulatory climate globally has actually trended extremely positively over the last 5 years. You see that the trend line for most major markets recognizes that digital assets can and will play a role in the future financial system, and that's to the benefit of consumers, the benefit of businesses, the benefit of even governments. If you look at it at a very high level, countries like the United Kingdom, Switzerland, Japan, Singapore have all provided very constructive frameworks. Yes, there's regulatory oversight, but they're actually encouraging that innovation. Your question, I think, is more about what's going on here in the United States. I think it's certainly disappointing and frustrating as a United States company to find ourselves where we are. The SEC continues, in my judgment, to drag its feet. It just feels like there's a certain hypocrisy since the SEC is continuing to note that justice delayed is justice denied. By the way, let me pause there. What he's citing there, that's a direct quote, if I'm not mistaken, from SEC Supreme Leader and Dictator Kim Jong-Gary. Justice delayed is justice denied. Well, what's been happening here and how many delays have there been in the SEC versus Ripple case? I think it's completely absurd. Anyway, Brad continues. But they're seeking delays all the time. What Ripple seeks is clarity and a level playing field. The United States government and the regulators of the United States government should not be picking winners and picking losers. Protocol then asks the following. There's the view you have become much more combative, especially on Twitter. Which I guess is more of a statement than a question, but Brad responded with the following. The SEC declared war on Ripple. Are we being combative? I don't know. We're trying to defend ourselves. If you read their initial lawsuit, there's all kinds of allegations that that aren't actually grounded in fact. They've certainly contorted the facts onto telling a story which doesn't represent reality. I'm going to golf clap for that one from Mr. Garlinghouse. That's for damn sure. They think the SEC, those asshats, they think they're entitled to their own sets of facts that are not in line with reality, and that's just going to pass. That's going to pass the smell test. I just absolutely insist to differ because that is absurd. Anyway, Brad continues. I don't know if we're being combative. I think we're trying to get the truth. We're trying to get this resolved as expeditiously we're the hot for moon labo as expeditiously as we can. The SEC is dragging its feet. We got sued. You'd think that if they sued us, they'd have all the ducks in a row. And they're the ones dragging their feet. Of course I'm going to be combative. And so, look, and that's a point that I brought up many times on my channel. They've had, and Ripple has too. In fact, Stuart Alderati has brought up this point. That's Ripple's general counsel, so their chief legal guy. It's like they had years to do all of this research, to get all of their facts around, because, look, if they didn't have everything that you needed to submit for discovery, Oh, then why the hell did you sue in the first place if you weren't finished? You know, you're supposed to have all your ducks in a row. And now you need all this extra time? I don't think that makes sense. Protocol then asked the following. There will likely be speculation that this move of buying back your shares is a step towards an IPO. Can you comment on that? And Brad Garlinghouse said the following. That is an astute observation. You gotta love that. The United States does have the most liquid, the most vibrant, the largest capital market in the world. My hope and expectation is we'll get this case with the SEC behind us in 2022. Then we will evaluate where we go from there. I think ultimately the future for Ripple is that we will be a public company. But I don't think that's a question we're spending a lot of time on today, given where we are with the SEC lawsuit. So folks, I don't know what would have evolved over the last 12 plus months if not for this lawsuit, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if Ripple were a public company today, or at least publicly on the path, as in news would have been announced from Ripple that they're on the path to be becoming a publicly traded company. Like they would have decided, hey, we're moving forward and announced it. But we're not there now. And it's just, you go back to I don't want to read this article, but here's an article from January 24th, 2020, so just over 2 years ago. It's from CoinDesk, titled, Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse hints firm may seek IPO within 12 months. And I'll just read one quote because I don't want to go through the whole article here. But it reads as follows. This is a quote from Garlinghouse. I think over the next 12 months, you're definitely going to see IPOs in the crypto blockchain space. I'm not sure we want to be the first, but we certainly don't want to be the last either, so I expect we'll be on the leading side of that, not to the lagging side. So that was a clear indication that the answer is yes, Ripple wants to go public, even 2 years ago. So why haven't we seen that move forward? Well, lawsuit, everybody. Yay, thanks for nothing, you asshats at the SEC. Really grinds my gears, folks. Protocol then asked the following. The crypto market has been falling together with the broader market. Do you think we are entering another crypto winter? And here's what Brad had to say about this. I'm always curious because you don't get much talk from anybody about Ripple these days in terms of price action. And it's totally understandable, by the way. That's not a dig at them. It's just a reality of the situation here that's what makes sense. But here's what Brad had to say on this. I've been at Ripple for 7 years. There have always been interesting cycles. We've certainly dealt with this before. I view this as part of the journey not dissimilar to what we've already experienced. I'm incredibly optimistic about what the future holds for Ripple and for digital assets broadly, particularly in a market where global economies are printing more and more fiat currencies that devalue the currency that everyone is holding. So yeah, I share that view too. That's something that does ultimately matter to me as well. It's part of the reason it does make sense to diversify. Now, as far as the question of is that the reason the masses are doing it? It's weird. It's like you could poll people, and I'd be willing to bet that would be cited as a reason to consider investing in crypto. Probably a lot of people would say that. But then is that the straw that broke the camel's back? Is that the reason you invested in crypto? And I'd be willing to bet, it's just a hunch, that for most people, regardless, I think they still would have jumped into crypto. Even if just for the sake of diversification, is printing specifically, crazy money printing, is that specifically it? Hedge against tumultuous times, inflation, all this. I don't know. I don't think that there's sufficient evidence to know for sure one way or another, but I have a hunch that crypto would be growing regardless. But anyway, and then this question was asked, what is your biggest worry on the regulatory front? I'd say I'm optimistic. Again, if you step back over the last 5-6 years, most major economies have leaned into crypto in a way that is supporting innovation that is good for businesses and good for consumers. Now, the wheels of justice and the wheels of government change are slow. I think it's going to take time. But as is the case with a lot of new technologies, people try to paint it, as the chair of the SEC said, by saying the Wild West. No, it's not. Here in the United States, the crypto industry is actually quite regulated. Not by the SEC, but by the CFTC. So it's kind of like painting a picture of crisis and drama by saying the Wild West, but the facts don't bear that out. And then here's the final question. There's just a short answer to it. There's the view that most crypto companies want the SEC not to be involved or to have its role minimalized in any kind of new regulatory framework. Is that your view? And Brad said, when you see a regulator going above and beyond and really stretching the mandate that has been given to them by law, it's overreach. It's like a power grab. Strong clap for that one. That's exactly what I've been saying forever. This is a power grab and a money grab. That's what it looks like to me. Because look what Kim Jong-Gary's going after. Everything having to do with crypto. Stable coins. They think they have interest in stable coins. Think about this. What are the 4 prongs of the Howey test? Investment of money, that's 1. 2, with the expectation of profit. 3, on the the efforts of others. And 4, with the common enterprise. You need to have all 4 of those prongs satisfied to be a security. Well, when you're talking about stable coins, expectation of profit with stable coins? Are you freaking kidding me, you asshat? No, you have to satisfy all 4 prongs. A stable coin is stable. It's worth whatever the fiat currency in question is worth. That's it. There is no expectation of profit. And Kim Jong-Gary has publicly stated that he thinks the SEC should be able to regulate over that. So he's going after that. He's going after NFTs. He's going after decentralized finance. He's going after ICOs. Everything that's crypto, everything under the sun, he's going after. It's a tremendous power grab, the likes of which has never been seen before. And it's disgusting and repulsive. And I'm so glad that people are fighting back about this. I made a video earlier today, where I was covering that topic, that there's a revolt in the world of crypto. So yeah, the SEC's been suing, very happily, gleefully suing all sorts of people participating in the crypto space. But now, participants this year, they're actually punching back. So if you haven't checked out that video, it's actually worth checking out. But anyway, what did I call that when it was the thumbnail said Ripple stacking legal victories? So if you see that thumbnail, that's the one that I'm talking about. And then there's this. So there's this headline here again from you today. Ripple CTO names his preferred way to pay on the internet. Well, take a look at this. Because I already told you, David Schwartz received a lifetime ban. Here's a tweet from David Schwartz, September 14th, 2016, so way back in the day. He wrote the following: just sent an email to PayPal asking them to lift my lifetime ban. I'll report back on what they say. And so here's a short summary. It's on your screen. I'm just going to read a couple parts of it, but this is from April 15th, 2016. This is on the XRP chat website. And he wrote, it's kind of a long story, but basically PayPal claims that I had 2 PayPal accounts violating their terms of service. After many, many phone calls, a Better Business Bureau complaint, and a complaint to their regulator, they finally disclosed to me that the other account they thought was mine was for a separate email address. So again, that's the primary claim, and David still, to this point, as far as I know, never figured out exactly what the actual problem was. I mean, obviously you're not supposed to have 2 accounts, but still. Then he wrote, I've never used that email address and have no idea what it is. And then he said, I offered to provide PayPal any information or proof of my identity that they wanted, including proof that I haven't lived in Long Island in a very, very long time. So I'll just pause to note, and he did share this. The claim is that there is a David Schwartz who had a PayPal account living in the same city as David Schwartz. And so that's why he was citing here, which is Long Island. And he says, it seemed to be based in Long Island, which is where I lived until 2001. So then he says again, I offered to provide PayPal any information or proof of my identity that they wanted, including proof that I haven't lived in Long Island in a very, very long time. They weren't interested, and also wouldn't tell me why this justified a lifetime ban rather than just closing one of the accounts. They also won't tell me why they think the account is mine, but I presume it's the name match. And he writes in parentheses, for all I know, the middle name / initial might match as well, in parentheses, and possibly the shared connection to New York. But it's also possible this guy was stealing my identity and even gave them other information that was mine, or maybe not. I don't know. It's irritating because not only can't I use PayPal, but I also can't buy on eBay because everyone accepts credit cards through PayPal, which I can't do either. And so this type of crap, this is why I'm all for decentralization of anything where it makes sense to decentralize it. So from the internet to social media, it's anything. To me, this makes all the sense in the world. And if people from a tech perspective can find a way to make that work and have users actually genuinely adopt it, that's the right way to go in my mind. I would much prefer that, because otherwise there's an opportunity for the tech lords to just come in and in some sort of onerous way dictate exactly what people can and cannot do. And so I'm not saying I want chaos or anarchy or the Wild West. If there's a way to structure things in a reasonable way where this type of crap can't happen, I'm all for it. But when there's a central authority, makes it a bit more tough, does it not? Because even in a decentralized world, like, you can still have, if you're the government, you can still come crack down on the bad guys, and you would. But to have something like this happen where there's no recourse, not such a fan of this. And so here's a tweet from David Schwartz, November 14th, 2019. I had to get someone else to pay for my tour guide for me today, and I paid them back in cash. They only take PayPal, and I have a lifetime ban. This perfectly symbolizes what has motivated me for the past 8 years. Yeah, no kidding. So that's why he's all about decentralization, all about cryptocurrencies, and there's a reason he's doing what he's doing with Ripple and everything else. Lifetime ban. And so then somebody asked him, hey, have you asked Twitter support to unban David Schwartz since he's the CFO of Ripple? And David Schwartz responded to that on June 23rd, 2020 and wrote, I ask every year or so. Every year they tell me that whatever they think I did is so unforgivable that they can't possibly unban them. I remind them that it was another David Schwartz, also from Long Island. They don't care. And then there was this. And so this is the latest update. And I was surprised to see this, but this is just from several days ago. David Schwartz wrote the following. As you may know, I had a horrible experience with PayPal that started more than a decade ago. A few months ago, they restored my access. I hate to say it, but the user experience has been spectacular since then, and it is now my preferred way to pay dollars on the internet. I realize that I may be getting preferred treatment because my case got a lot of public attention, and I don't forgive the earlier treatment, but it has just worked without pain or hassle for many consumer transactions, large and small. So I was surprised. I'm glad he got his access back because it seems that this never should have happened. But wow. Like, if this isn't a case study for why we need a better way to move money around the planet, I don't know what the hell is. Cryptocurrencies, man. Fast forward, they're here to stay. They're not going away because you can do things that you cannot do, and business models can exist that otherwise couldn't exist without them. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.